President Trump got another big win in his quest to downsize the federal government this week when the Supreme Court lifted an injunction that was blocking him from laying off 1,400 members of the Department of Education. This whole drama started on March 11th, when Secretary of Education Linda McMahon announced an intention to lay off nearly 1,400 members of the department. 9 days later, President Trump issued an executive order directing Secretary McMahon to take all necessary steps to facilitate the closure of the department in total. Following President Trump's executive orders, a group of plaintiffs, which included 19 different states, 2 public school districts, and several teachers' unions, to federal court in Massachusetts to block the reduction in force, saying that it violated the Constitution and federal laws governing administrative agencies. While the case makes its way through court, a federal judge issued an injunction blocking the Education Department from moving forward with its reduction in force, saying that a layoff of that magnitude would effectively make it impossible for the Department of Education to carry out its obligations under federal law. The Trump administration then filed an emergency appeal to the Supreme Court seeking to lift that injunction, and on Monday, July 14th, the Supreme Court did lift that injunction, allowing the Education Department to move forward with layoffs of those 1,400 workers. The Supreme Court justices voted on this basically along party lines. Their order didn't provide any explanation or any context at all, which is not uncommon with cases on the emergency docket. Justice Sonia Sotomayor wrote a 19-page dissent, which was pretty scathing, arguing that it's indefensible because it hands the executive power to repeal legislative statutes by simply firing all the people necessary to carry those statutes out. She continued saying, and I quote, "The majority is either willfully blind to the implications of its ruling or naive, but either way, the threat to our Constitution's separation of powers is grave." So the case now returns to the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals, which will rule on the legality of the reduction in force. If they rule against the administration, then the administration will have the option of appealing to the Supreme Court again. All the Supreme Court did in this case was remove the emergency injunction. But even if President Trump is not successful in this case, it is questionable how well the Department of Education will be able to function, or whether it can even resume its functions once 1,400 members of the staff have been let go. So it's a very big win for the Trump administration because they don't really have any other avenue to eliminate the Department of Education. That can only be done by Congress, and it would require 60 votes in the Senate, which it is pretty much impossible for them to get, even if all the Republican members of Congress voted with the president.